The journey to determine the language of ornamentation started by observing the process of traditional Thai textile making. As seen in this collage that I have prepared, each operation is mapped out in sequence to study the morphology from fiber, yarn to fabric. Through conceptual sketches, I began to illustrate multiple elements within the textile making process, deriving the qualities of its movement and form and translating them to lines and shapes. As I closely examined the sketches I have made, I began to notice the difference between the process and product of textile creation in the fact that the process was one founded on creating tension, rigidity, and tightness through pulling and pushing movements. In stark contrast, the product is evident in portraying fluidity, softness, and bendability, which is further explored through conceptual sketches. With the use of the relevant shapes and lines, the final ornament drawing manages to bridge the contrast within a process that focuses on tension and rigidity, with its end product which can be described as free-flowing, flexible, dynamic, and ever-changing. As a corresponding analog to the predetermined language of ornamentation, the building element is designed to portray the connection between two realms, hence the merging of two spheres to form a cylindrical pot. Through more experimental sketches, the cylinder is then further molded into its decagonal shape, in which panelization and flattening of the curved surfaces are able to facilitate the repetitive reflection of light and enable a kaleidoscopic function. To add towards the functionality of the building element as a window, mock-up models are made to create a mechanization similar to the twisting and bending movements of a weaving loom machine. This is then implemented to the window panels in order to ventilate its attaching building in a manner that reflects the process of textile making. From the language of ornamentation, the main and sub-elements are extracted and imprinted onto the surfaces of the decagonal pot. The final ornament building element is therefore named as kaleidospot, a skylighted window pot that portrays the bridging of two spherical realms. Through panelization, it has a kaleidoscopic function, purpose for the extraction of textile design patterns through the play of light and reflection. Steered by a reflect mechanism, its mobile panels are designed to adapt to the ventilation and lighting needs of the building it is contained within. Moving on to the schematic proposal for the Transdisciplinary Craft Center, I started to study the context and potential programs that could be applied into the project site. For the site synthesis, I first identified the sun path over the proposed project site, since the source and direction of light is essential to aid the function of the kaleidospot in creating patterns through the reflection of light and color. I also identified the wind intensity and direction that would steer the ventilating panels of the kaleidospot. With that, I pinned the main assembly points that would draw in human traffic from three directions. First, the Bangkrachao Pier that welcomes tourists from the opposite shores of the island. Secondly, the crossroads in front of the bicycle sheds. And lastly, a neighboring Puntara Botanic Home that could serve as an accommodation for visiting lecturers and students for the textile design program. With these points pinned, the proposed site massing branches into the core of the project site like the buttress roots of a mangrove tree, since it is also rooted in both soil and water like the plant. As shown in the diagrams provided, I am proposing to build an artisanal research center and emporium. The intention of the proposed building will be predominantly to research, replicate, educate, and propagate. Firstly, the design ornament will be utilized as a medium for pattern extraction through the various reflections of light and color that it provides for its external natural environment of Bangkrachao. The patterns are then extracted, studied, and integrated in the textile designs manufactured within the labs and workshops provided. This research process will also actively involve university students from the neighboring universities around the island of Bangkrachao, providing labs and classrooms for the local youth to further explore the possibilities of Thai textiles. The manufactured textile products will also be used to educate the community of Bang Krachao, especially its visiting international tourists, about Thai textiles via a depository or museum gallery in which they will be beautifully displayed in the form of installations. Lastly, the project will also utilize the status of its site as a popular tourist destination to propagate the different fabrics produced to generate income for its local community, as well as to raise funds for the continuation of its research activities. With the above intentions in mind, the programmatic diagram for the project is mapped out through experimental sketches to determine the flow and interweaving elements or activities that will take place. The final diagram is then composed of an observatory tower, textile pattern design incubation center, classrooms, laboratories, textile creation workshop, gallery area, and bazaar area where the user or visitor will journey through.